everybody, and welcome to episode 370 of the All You Can Hear podcast. I am one of your co-hosts, Wenzel, and joining me today are my two other co-hosts.
Blade folded over 1,000 times, Colt.
Katana wielding Tanner.
That's a threat.
It's a promise in my house.
Oh, shit.
Do y'all not do every episode with a sword by your side?
I mean, technically, yes. It's in the corner. I can't reach it.
Wait, do we all have a sword in the room we record in?
Yeah.
I don't.
Wenzel, do you really not own a sword?
What kind of question is that?
I mean,
you gotta get to your white half. All white people have swords.
I'm not trying to generalize, but I feel like men with our specific interest skills at this age typically have a sword. That's all I'm saying.
This is a family sword. We've had this sword since like 2007.
This has been passed through the generations. I've been the only owner, and I bought
it was Cody's.
I bought it from Earthbound in 2007.
Oh my god!
Because that's what I did with my sword.
Colt got his sword from his older brother. His older brother got his sword from his uncle. His uncle got his sword from their grandfather. His grandfather got his sword from his great uncle.
Man, I wish the Dockery lineage of this sword would be fascinating. But if I had to guess, Cody probably purchased it from Earthbound.
Yes.
Because that is also where my sword came from.
That is so funny to start on. Wenzel, do you not own a sword?
I mean, okay. I find it weirder you don't own one.
Don't get me. What?
Yeah, I mean, swords are fairly common, and especially in our nerd groups.
Weird one.
Yeah,
not owning a weapon.
I think my sword couldn't hurt anybody.
Yeah, this sword is rusty as hell.
Yeah, these are decorative swords. It's not
but decorative regardless. It's just
honestly, it kind of shocks me that you don't. I can't believe we've never talked about this. It kind of shocks me you don't own one.
They're cheap and they're cool looking.
Let me tell you. Let me list reasons why I don't own a sword. A, they look cool.
You don't have any room.
I don't. Well, that's my last reason. They look cool, but like I don't really care to own one because like I just see no purpose for it to take up place in my room other than like it's decorative. I get that, but it just seems like, if I'm gonna have a sword, I should be using it, going out on the town, taking out villains.
What? Okay, Jesus. Yeah, you're right.
Taking out villains.
Yeah, no, you're right.
I don't think you should have a gun either.
Wenzel was like, I didn't say I didn't have one of those.
Well, I don't have a gun. I don't want a gun.
No,
and I definitely don't want a sword because I kind of put them together.
Yeah, you need room for your xenomorph.
Well, yeah.
You could stab someone with that. It's basically a sword.
Honestly, I bet Wenzel's xenomorph at the tail tip is probably sharper than either of our swords.
Oh, yeah.
Damn, not only do you guys have decorative swords, your swords suck.
Yeah, they're from Earthbound.
Yeah, Colt, bring your sword over next week.
Okay, but here's a better question though. Why do you have them?
Because Cody wanted it because he liked Rurouni Kenshin.
I have mine because of Bleach specifically.
And Bleach, we love Bleach too.
Yeah, we were white teenagers into anime.
Yeah,
it was Wenzel. It was either buy a sword or I don't know, be racist is kind of like the two.
Yeah, we're in Alabama.
It seems like there's
paths.
something in the middle there that really
no, that's literally the only two paths in life.
So you chose the path of the blade. I get it.
Racist or sword master?
Now, to be fair, would not classify myself as a sword master. I honestly don't. I know my sword's in this room in my closet, but I haven't. It's never been on display since I've been in the house.
Oh, I've used this sword, but on like ranch bottles and like other random boxes.
God. Oh man. That's awesome, Cole. I love to hear that.
Yeah,
ranch bottles. I'm just trying to think of anything more Colt core.
See, but that's also the thing too, is like I'm not like, even if I could use a sword on like, stuff like that, like I'm not like gonna sit here like, all right, I'm gonna go practice with my sword in the yard.
Well, of course not. You're 26.
That's the thing though. Like I don't want it.
Yeah, no, exactly. No, I don't. Well, I say I wouldn't buy a sword now, but when
I would. 100%.
Yeah, I was about to say, when we were at Comic-Con, I saw several swords. I'm like, I kind of need these.
I want a ton of Bleach swords, really, really bad.
Me too.
I want Cloud's Buster sword. I want any big ass sword, basically.
I, for years, have wanted Benihime Yorihara's sword from Bleach, like in the cane.
Yeah.
For years, I've wanted that sword. Probably legitimately since I've watched Bleach, I've wanted that sword, and it will be mine one day.
And Ichigo's basic Zanpakuto, and also his fucking Bankai. Oh fuck, that would be sick.
Oh man,
it's weird.
Let's buy swords.
It's weird because you guys talking about that, like I said, like it's just this thing where I don't care. I don't have no interest in ever buying a sword or owning a sword or anything. But weirdly, I like the interest of making prop weapons. I actually do have an interest in that.
Oh yeah,
that's boring. You can't cut anything with that.
No, I think that's cool too. I think the prop, like that Mjolnir I bought a couple years ago. I love that thing. I just like toss it around sometimes. Like it has a good heft and weight to it. Now, if I had a real hammer, no.
I don't. Have you ever picked up a real hammer and thrown it? It's pretty fun.
Okay, everybody needs to keep their eyes on Colt.
Colt, Colt, it's like I said at dinner on Friday. We live very different lives.
Everybody over here is like getting like, whoa, me talking about taking out evil villains with a sword. Colt talked about throwing a hammer and how fun it is.
Hey, right. I'm not talking about killing people. I'm just talking about just doing evil, random fun stuff.
Dastardly villains.
Here's how we solve this.
Kill a jaywalker.
No. I was gonna set up like a course in my backyard where we were gonna let Colt throw a hammer, but we were also going to teach Wenzel the way of the blade.
Yeah, and we're gonna do the ancient Japanese tradition where samurais would test their blades on homeless people.
No, there's no people involved. No, it's the ancient samurai way of old Hidden Valley bottles, such as the way the Dockery clan has learned over the years. Wenzel, I think if we got a sword in your hand, I think it'd be bad.
Your tone would change. I've seen you with a little axe in your hand. You were playing with it.
Do you remember? Was Wenzel around when we used to throw ninja stars in y'all's basement?
No, I was not around that time.
I feel like if Wenzel was around for that, he would be singing a different tune. That's all I'm gonna say.
I will say, no, I won't say that.
You would like some ninja stars?
No, absolutely not.
I want some kunai.
As much as I say I wouldn't care about owning a sword, I have practiced swordsmanship. So,
what?
This is crazy Wenzel lore drop.
Yeah, what if I told you I actually have a wooden practice sword that I use to train every day?
I mean, I have a wooden practice sword too.
Oh fuck. Oh my god.
But the thing is, though, now that I think about it, oh my god, we're not talking about what we need to talk about. But I just have to say this. Now that I think about it, though, if I did have a wooden practice sword and I got to practice, like, actually learn, like, swordsmanship, I'd be very interested in that.
It sounds like you want a sword.
Y'all are giving me a lot of ideas for the first AYCH Olympics.
Like, I'm just saying, let's do this challenge where Colt's throwing hammers and I have a sword. I learn the way of the blade, but instead of it being an obstacle course, it's just Colt at one end, me at the other end. I have to try to get to Colt and cut him down.
And I'm just throwing hammers at you?
And Colt has a toolbox full of hammers.
And Colt's like, oh, this is gonna be easy. But every time he throws hammers, he's missing. And it's like shit. And he's just rushing to get more hammers out of the toolbox.
And you fall and just impale yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, somehow it ends in a draw, but you both killed yourselves. Like Colt managed to throw a hammer with like a perfect arc, and it comes back and boomerangs and like just hits him right dead center of the nose.
Happens.
Happens to the best of us. Wenzel,
Okay.
what are we talking about today?
God damn. We are talking about Kagurabachi. That's what we're talking about. So Kagurabachi is a dark fantasy action manga written and illustrated by Takiro Hokazono. It officially got serialized last year, back in September 2023. It is currently at 57 chapters right now. To give some background on Hokazono, though, because I think this is kind of interesting. He was born on September 6th, 2000, which means he's only 24. He's very young.
Wow.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
That's what makes this so crazy. So, Hokazono started making comics during the COVID-19 pandemic while he was in college. And and like he made like a couple or a few one shots, and Kagurabachi just really hit it off. It was serialized in the 42nd issue of Weekly Shonen Jump. The release of Kagurabachi had taken on a life of its own on social media, because I think everybody here remembers this. If nobody knows, there was an ironic meme campaign known as Kagurabachi Glazing that declared the manga as an inheritor to the likes of One Piece, Naruto, and Bleach as one of the new generation big three. But the first chapter did get critical acclaim, like legitimate acclaim.
It was a great chapter.
It was
a good chapter. Due to the excitement, Kagurabachi had become a hit, with Volume 1 having more than 200,000 copies in circulation in Japan by March 2024. The English version was released last week, November 5th, here in America, which I do currently have, and I reread it for this episode, obviously. Kagurabachi was the highest voted work in the Manga Plus AYCH poll, beating out Sakamoto Days, Ruri Dragon, and Blue Box. As a result, this historic moment made Kagurabachi officially hit number 1 in the Shonen Jump table of contents. And typically when a series hits number 1 in the table of contents, it means that Jump has identified a work worthy of promotion. This spot is reserved for the magazine's most prized works. Chapters release every Sunday, and I stopped when I started reading it. I read it week to week, but then I stopped at chapter 18, not because I didn't like it, but because I wanted to let it build up a bit, and I got carried away by other things, and now it's built up quite a bit. So yeah,
I'm in the same boat. I've read the chapter 18. I've enjoyed it. I really do. I'm excited to get back into it, because I reread the first 9, even though we're supposed to read the first 8. This shit, man, it's a surprise how good it is. I remember the whole this is my Kagurabachi. I'm about to hit you with my Kagurabachi. That was hilarious, and I really enjoyed it. And the fact that it was memed into popularity, I don't know if it would be here still if it wasn't memed into popularity.
Specifically in the West.
Yes.
Where it just now, as of last week, got its first official release, its first volume. I wanted to touch on, so Wenzel said there was 200,000 copies in circulation as of March 2024, but we actually have some updated figures because I thought the exponential growth of the series was worth looking at. So by July, and keep in mind, this is all Japan, because there's literally not been any other volumes anywhere else until last week. By July 2024, the manga had 350,000 copies in circulation, which includes digital copies. 600,000 a month later in August, and over 1 million copies in circulation by October 2024. Keep in mind, there's only 4 volumes out of this in Japan. So like it's doing some absurd numbers. Yeah, I don't want to say I don't know. So Shonen is really quick with cutting a series off.
Oh yeah.
And it definitely feels like if this, because I feel like it got memed so hard in the West, it somehow permeated back to Japan, and readers were reading it. And then because like if you look at like the first chapter's readership, it's some absurd number, like tens of millions of times or something. It's so weird. I've never seen a manga do that. And the fact that, I mean, this is an extremely quick turnaround too for something to get serialized in the US.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
The series is still in its infancy, really.
It's just over a year old, which feels wrong because it feels like it's been around forever.
Yeah, the Kagurabachi memes from last year, like the one I specifically remember is Peter as Shihiro. And it's so weird just to like, I don't want to say to be like on the ground floor of this, because obviously like here we are talking about volume 1, 14 months later, but like it's still so early in the life of this manga. And like I do think at this point I think Wenzel said earlier, like on chapter 57, it's not going anywhere until they decide the story's over. Like it's not like it's going to get cut off at the knees now. It's doing way too well, and I think it's going to continue to do even better. Would not surprise me if next year we see an announcement of and frankly, I'm surprised we haven't seen one yet, of a anime adaptation.
Well, yeah, just give it another year, or I bet, or another 8 months, and we'll probably get an announcement for that.
Yeah, I think the main problem is right now is there's just not enough material. I think
no.
They would be afraid of catching up too quickly.
Oh yeah, that was my thing too. Like looking at like how well it's done, I'm like anime announcement has to come soon, because it just seems so like something that's like so crazy. Like having reread it now, I'm just like, this has got to have an anime, and it's got to be soon, because it's insane. But like they can't do it because there's just not enough. I mean, volume 4 right now in Japan is only up to chapter 37, and then volume 5, I mean, probably by the 6th volume they would have caught up. Like, so it's like they gotta wait, man.
Yeah, I can see the animators behind Studio Wit, the people behind Demon Slayer, after they finish that, I can see them doing a really good job with this.
Oh my god, dude, totally. Especially like with what we're about to talk about with the content in here, it just seems so Demon Slayer just esque.
Yeah, it definitely feels like, but Demon Slayer's not Wit, it's Ufotable.
Oh, Ufotable.
Now, I do think Wit would actually be a good studio if Ufotable didn't want to do another sword person anime.
Yeah.
But yeah, this seems tailor made for them to jump from Demon Slayer to Kagurabachi. Like I even made a note in the first chapter. Literally my second note I made. The action feels very fluid, different from the swordplay in a shonen series such as Demon Slayer, where you can, because I feel like the action in the manga of Demon Slayer doesn't translate as well. It doesn't feel as fluid, where I feel like here, and maybe, well, no, I can't really say that because Tanjiro's main thing is water, but it just feels a lot more fluid, and maybe because there's more at play than just swordsmanship. But it definitely feels like it feels better on paper than Demon Slayer did, which is the main reason why I don't read Demon Slayer. It's just because I feel like the action kind of falls flat in
also
manga form.
It feels weird to see it in Shonen Jump because the art is very brutal in certain scenes. It feels like it's on the brink of not being shonen, and it's kind of wanting to do seinen, but I feel like maybe the mangaka was reined in. And also, after Wenzel telling me he's only 24, that makes me more excited to see what he can come up with in the future, because if he's got an art style that's this good this early on, he's got a bright future ahead, for sure, because just the scene in particular that I keep thinking about is the one where that one dude with the mutton chops turns into a tree. That scene in particular is beautifully drawn.
Yeah.
Like, also for reference, like we're talking about like, oh man, I can't believe like he's this young. He's the same age as Oda when One Piece started getting published in Shonen Jump.
And Oda started with like Hokuzono. His style was really good even for that start, and to be that young.
Yeah,
I feel like it takes like till they're 30 for mangaka to really settle in with a like really, really good style.
Yeah, and the fact that this style too, like it's not samey, you know, like for somebody so young to have already like found their voice in a style like this, I is super impressive. I had no idea they were basically a child. Like that's nuts.
They're only 2 years younger than me, man. That's crazy.
That's nuts. But that's also so crazy too, just hearing about like, yeah, there's somebody published in Shonen Jump that's, I mean, me for instance is 5 years younger than myself. I'm like, Jesus, what am I doing?
No, I feel that.
It's just
but
funny.
Don't get discouraged. Don't get discouraged.
Well, I don't draw. I don't care.
I'm talking to people like me.
Let me be the antithesis to you. Antithesis. Give up. Stop drawing. It's not worth it. Just give up.
If you're not in Shonen, you ain't doing it.
Yeah. So don't listen to them. Don't go watch Look Back. That should help actually inspire you.
Oh, it's on Prime now.
Yep,
it is
only
on
50
Prime.
minutes.
I need to watch it.
Yep. But yeah, no. So I was when I was looking at the wiki, I was very interested in like I said, Hokuzono's biography on here. And there's a section on here called Styles and Influences, and it talks about that. I just wanted to kind of go over that. So it's apparently Kagurabachi is supposed to be set in an alternate version of 1950s Japan. I didn't realize that. Yeah,
I didn't realize it was 1950. There's cars.
There's cars in the 1950s.
I mean, I know, but there's like a lot of cars.
Now that I think about it, one of the chapters, the cars were actually, it's a mix of like, I feel like 80s and 50s cars.
No, if you go back and look, a lot of the cars that you first see are cars from the 50s and 50s, and then there's cars from the 70s and 80s.
Yeah,
interesting.
Yeah, and not only that, there's flip phones.
That's
oh
true.
yeah,
There's phones. So I mean, and don't let that like be like we're criticizing it. It's literally like I didn't know that, but like it's like in this alternate timeline because of certain events happening, it changed how technology progresses, obviously. So whatever, whatever happened. We don't know too much about why it's like this, but that's apparently how it's supposed to be set. And then this was something I didn't even think about, I did realize it, but then as Colt says, it doesn't feel like shonen. It's more like going to seinen. A big difference is that with protagonists for shonen, they're always kind of glory, cheerful, happy-go-lucky, cheerful protagonists who, like, no matter what's thrown at them, while they can get serious, they're for the most part are pretty like optimistic and happy. That is not the case with this. It's brutal. It's dark. Chihiro, our main character here, dude is not happy. He's mad. He's mad as hell, and he's sad, and he's out to kill. So, and then something else too is I would like to point out, and I'm glad that they have this on here, is that Hokuzono is some of his favorite filmmakers are David Fincher, Tarantino, and Nolan. And with one of the scenes in there particularly, I was like, this feels like Kill Bill.
Yeah, that makes total sense.
And then Hokuzono also wanted to, this is from him, quote, wanted to make Japan cooler by embracing the stylized Japan depicted in films such as Inception and Kill Bill.
Yeah, that makes now I'm like going through like scenes from even just his first volume, because I haven't read anymore, so my whole knowledge of this series lies within these 8 chapters. But yeah, you can already see those influences quite heavy, especially the Kill Bill similarities.
Yeah, but if we're ready, I'll go quickly into a plot summary, and then if you're listening to this, if you want to go and read the first volume, go pick it up, or maybe you have Shonen Jump, read the first 8 chapters. You can do that. After I get done reading the plot summary, just because it's spoilers from here, from after that. So I'll go ahead and say the summary. So Chihiro Rukihira is the son of Kunishige Rukihira, a renowned blacksmith who forged 6 enchanted swords that were instrumental in ending the Seitei War. I don't know if I'm saying that right. After living and hiding, the Rukihiras are discovered and attacked by a criminal gang of sorcerers called the Hishaku. The Hishaku murder Kunishige and then steal the enchanted blades. Armed with a 7th enchanted blade called Enten, Chihiro embarks on a bloody path of vengeance and justice to destroy the Hishaku and reclaim the stolen enchanted blades. So right here, if you want to stop, go read, because after this, it's just nothing but spoilers.
Spoiler time, baby.
Yep.
Yondu's dead.
No.
He keeps dying.
No.
Chihiro took him out.
So yeah, as usual with these review and discussions, we are going to talk about the 8 chapters. We're not going to go into a full detailed summary of each chapter, especially since the first chapter is 60 pages. But basically what I said in the plot summary is, for the most part, what happens in the first chapter. But then for the later chapter 2, we get introduced to characters like Shiba, who is a highly skilled and very powerful sorcerer and family friend of Kunishige and Chihiro. He helped in making sure that they were protected and kept hidden because Kunishige made the enchanted blades. He reclaimed them and wanted to keep them from ever being used again. So he had to make sure that they were under watch by the government, kind of, and by him. So he kind of was put himself on the task of making sure they are kept safe. And then Chihiro is, after his father dies, it takes place a few years after that. So he's
38 months later, because I thought it was very weirdly specific.
It was very, yeah. He's 18 at whenever we get him where he currently is for most of the story. So he's not like most shonen, like anywhere from like 14 to 17. He's like, an adult in the sense of like the laws here in America. Yeah. But and then at the end of the chapter, we do get to see him absolutely go crazy using the blade. The blade itself has 2 moves, or I think it has total 3, but we only see the first 2, which is Kuro and Nishiki, or abilities. And whenever he does bring out the blades, they have the goldfish come out of them, manifested, just like the goldfish that his father got for them to raise. And it's pretty crazy. Like I said, it's brutal. Like, I mean, he cuts through these like Yakuza, like, I mean, it's just gory, and it's pretty sick.
Yeah,
it straight up shows them cutting their throats.
Yeah, like it's not like, I mean, even in like Bleach or One Piece, series that are very sword heavy, I mean, you do get some brutal moments, but like to do this in your first chapter was kind of nuts, and like definitely way to be remembered for sure. Like I was very impressed that I was like, wow, they went for it here.
Yeah, no, it's God, it's crazy, because like there's the whenever he first shows up, because there's these people, these protesters, I guess you want to say, or people who are against this group being in their city, and so this criminal group takes most of the members, kills them, and then hangs their bodies, and then that's where Chihiro resolves to make sure that he kills these guys. And it's not like, oh, I'm gonna defeat these guys, I'm gonna, I gotta stop them. It's like, no, he's like, I have to kill these guys. And then literally you see these guys just sitting talking, and then as they're talking, he throws one of his blades and slices the neck open of one of the dudes, and he just falls over bleeding out. And then he gets on the table, grabs the blade, and does a 360 slash, cutting all their all of them.
Imagine their heads got cut off, but he wasn't allowed to draw it.
Yeah, definitely. I think they were properly beheaded for sure.
And not, and definitely too, don't like think like, oh, like any of these guys survived, or there's kind of like, no, like there's
no chance.
There's no chance, because he uses Koro, which is the ability to manifest like a black like physical slash, and it literally shows a huge group of guys in front of him getting cut in half, and then he's cutting arms off, he's cutting, like, it's crazy. Oh man, it's just so sick.
Yeah,
and
it's like a perfect mix of, like, here, like, immediately you can see like the Tarantino stuff, just because it's like, it's almost gratuitous in the way that's like over the top. And again, to like, because I think of this first chapter as like your opening scene, and like that is a very Tarantino thing, is to like immediately like draw you in with like just this huge display of violence. And I was like, okay, you got me here. It's also too just jarring, like coming from like the stuff I usually read, like Jujutsu Kaisen or One Piece, or like the main two I'm reading right now. And like, yes, there is like death and bloody battles and like dismemberment in those, but here it feels like, I don't know. It's just a level above. I would put it closer to a Chainsaw Man in terms of violence than like a One Piece or a Jujutsu Kaisen. Like it's towed the line, and it's kind of in the middle. Because while like, especially in JJK, as we've talked about, the violence doesn't really feel, I guess, like it has stakes. Here it clearly has stakes, because he just cut guys in half, and they're not doing reverse curse techniques, they're not regaining their lost limbs. No, they're dead for real. They're gone.
Get you on some seinen, or even fucking Golden Kamui. I don't know how it's classified as shonen, but that shit is violent as hell. It's hilarious, but it is incredibly violent.
Oh yeah, and that's definitely stuff I would be interested in checking out for sure. Just I just haven't. But yeah, I was super impressed by this first chapter, and again, it is long, which is pretty much the norm now in shonen. Is like chapter 1 for these new series are typically like a double or a triple length chapter. This is almost nearly 60 pages. But yeah, it's absolutely incredible.
Yeah. No. Colt, did you have any thoughts on this first chapter as well?
I thought it was a great introduction chapter. I know a lot of people said it was okay, they had to wait for more chapters to come out, but for me, I thought it was great, and I wanted to read the next chapter immediately.
Yeah, that's kind of my thing. I remember, like, with all the memes coming out and stuff, people were like, "Oh, I actually checked out the first chapter of Kagurabachi. It's okay." And I'm like, after reading it, I'm like, people read this and thought it was just like okay. Like, I mean, I can get like at least being maybe a little confused, because they do throw a lot at you at once in the first chapter, but that's also why it's chapter 1 and not a one shot, where you don't have to think too hard about they don't really explain the sorcery system in this chapter. Oh, fucking course they don't. It's the first chapter.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think it's on par with any of like, I mean, I'm trying to think what manga has like a fantastic first chapter. Like,
I mean, there's a good bit. I mean,
there's a lot of manga that have like really good first chapter. I can't imagine reading this first chapter and being like, well, it's this. Like, I think it did just as good a job as like any other manga, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. Like, I don't like it. It feels weird. It almost, now in hindsight, feels like people are just like, well, it's okay. People are just making a big fuss about it because it's another sword guy, manga and shonen. But
I should say too, at the very beginning of the volume, Hokuzono has a thing that says, "Yep, katana."
No, okay, that's good.
Because like he knows, he's like, oh, another katana manga.
Yeah.
But like at the same time, it's just like the only other first chapter I could compare it to is probably Chainsaw Man, just because Chainsaw Man, while there is some like crazy shit happening in the first chapter, it's pretty dark. Like Pachita is like all cute and all, but it's dark. And for this one, it's the same thing. It's dark. Like there's some lighthearted moments, but for the most part, I mean, it's literally just like I again have to say, like Chihiro, like he's been wronged, and it's not. He just goes in for the kill. There's no like, oh, you know, I have to make these guys turn a new leaf, or I feel bad for these guys. It's like these guys are criminal scum. I'm gonna fucking kill them. Like, and that's it. Like, and that's really different from Shonen Jump. And having reread it, I'm just like, man, this is like really good. Like you're talking about a hook. Like I got hooked, especially seeing the goldfish come out of his sword. I was like, man, that's so just, I don't know, that imagery, that's something just really stuck in my mind. Also, I just like black goldfish in general. So seeing that, I was like, that's really cool. Yeah.
Also, the color pages for this are fantastic. I just want to say that the chapter 2 starts with a color page. If you're reading it on the Shonen Jump app or Shonen, I don't know if they have it in the manga. Sometimes they include color pages, sometimes they don't.
In the actual volume, no, the chapter 2 color page is not on here.
Damn, but it's really beautifully done. That shit enough right there. If you just read the first chapter and clicked on the second one, that should get you into like, okay, maybe I should continue reading even more, because it looks great.
Oh yeah. No, I really like we said the his art style is already like stands out, and then with the colors it just really makes it stand out even more. And then I guess let's just go ahead and go to chapter 2. Chapter 2 just starts pretty much exactly where chapter 1 left off, where he's interrogating the leader of this little group about the Hishaku. And at a certain point, when the leader tries to talk about the Hishaku, he transforms, as Colt mentioned earlier, into a tree, which is part of the sorcerer that was there. We assume probably it's part of his sorcery, since he makes trees that we saw. Really, it's a really crazy, grotesque scene where, again, brutal as hell, like body horror, you know, which also shows like the sorcerers aren't jokes either, because like there are stakes. And man, up to chapter 18 is really good, but yeah, there are, oh gosh, there's actually so much I want to talk about, but it's not the same. It's like there's no, while the action or the blood and gore seems kind of gratuitous and crazy, it's never of like it has that style, but then also too, it's not like Chihiro, like, well, there's a lot of characters with serious faces, but it's just brutal is just really the best way to say it. It's it's never really highlighted as silly. It's like it takes itself serious and it's good. But yeah,
it's a lot more rooted in reality. Like there are lighthearted moments in like the first volume. It's not all doom and gloom, but it's also not all like we have to be happy all the time. Like, look, I know the circumstances aren't good. I know your dad was killed by this mafia gang, but you just have to have a good outlook on life. Like, no, like Shihiro's here, he's pissed, but he's also not like the typical like emo boy shonen protagonist either, where he does like have these emotional connections to people, even though in his like you couldn't tell just looking at his face. Like he doesn't, because he is just 100% serious and he is dead set on completing his mission.
But also, like, he's super kind to people.
Yes,
and he's able to make friends.
Yes, exactly. He's not like Sasuke. He's not like Megumi either, as another example.
No, he's not. Megumi's more like Sasuke.
Yeah. Like in the scale of shonen emo boys, Chihiro I wouldn't even classify Chihiro he has the look of one, yes, but I wouldn't say he is one.
I would just say that like it's like, I mean, he has, gosh, we're putting so much and we're only in 2 chapters, but like you could tell the mental struggle. It's like he's dead set on his mission. He experienced something very traumatic, but at the same time, like Colt said, he's kind. He knows how to make friends. It's like he keeps a strong, cold face, but like I'm trying to think of how to word this. It's not that he's not readable. It's just that like he's focused. That's really the best way to say it. He's focused.
Yeah, because it's not even like he's hiding it. Because like we get a little more into it here in chapter 2, but like Shiba knows that he like cares for him. Like, and Shiba is kind of like, I guess, the outlet for the mangaka to be like, okay, well, here's kind of like your cheery guy. Because Shiba is a lot more more positive outlook on life, but like he knows, and he even explains to characters, be like, look, I know Chihiro, he looks like this big bad, but he's actually kind of a teddy bear. And it's not just like the trope that people say. It's like, oh, this actually is a kind of a complex character, and he's not one note, which I, again, very impressed by, like on the offshoot.
Yeah, exactly. Like Chihiro is like again, like he is resolved to kill these people, and he understands that what he's doing is like very violent, very dark, but it's just like it's not he doesn't care. It's just that it's something he has to do, and he wants to follow through on what has been done to him, but also too of his worldview that he's developing. And then, like you said too, Shiba, like these characters are aware. I should say that they're self-aware. Shiba, for the most part, like you said, is kind of like not necessarily like the comedic relief, but he's like there to kind of like not only care for Chihiro, but then also to help guide him, to watch out for him, also because he feels responsible for what happened. But he's like they're very aware of their circumstances and of each other and stuff. And I mean, Shiba's known Chihiro since he was a child. So so there is a close connection there. So Chihiro can rely on Shiba, while Shiba can like be there to comfort Chihiro. And then Shiba also too is a highly skilled sorcerer. There's this part where when the tree is manifesting out the boss, he takes the only prisoner that's alive and teleports. He specializes in teleportation sorcery, which is really sick. And not only that, he also wants revenge for what happened to one of his best friends, was Chihiro's father. So yeah, we get that too, and then we get like kind of Chihiro having flashbacks because they go to Tokyo basically to wait to their next lead to fighting the Hishaku sorcerers. And then that's where we see the enchanted blades locked up, where his father shows him where they are. One of the blades is locked up with not only big ass rope, but then also what looks like these like metal like rods too. You could tell that's a very special sword, which is really I'm very interested in that one because that seems really dangerous. But yeah, that's really it for the chapter. They find their
you
next
also
lead,
get a glimpse at like the main antagonist for this series, I'm assuming, and we already got a look at one in the first chapter. It's the dude with the bowl hat that creates the tree. You can see he's one of the guys there that killed his father, along with a woman and what looks like a guy in traditional samurai garb, but we only see his leg, so it's hard to tell.
Yeah.
No, we get a brief. We don't know what they fully look like. Oh, and then also too, we do get a pretty brutal panel of Kunishige's face when he dies. It
looked a lot like a certain someone in Jujutsu Kaisen's.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah, the one that
Yes. Okay. Yeah. I was lost.
I was thinking of somebody from My Hero.
I see the other guy more.
I don't want to spoil, but I can't think of who you're talking about.
So put in the chat who you're talking about for Wenzel.
It's pretty obvious once I say it. because he looks super defeated.
Yep.
Yeah, what's it?
Yep.
Oh, I mean, okay.
Oh, does it make you feel sad again, reminding you of that weak little punk that's a weak loser?
No, it's just that he had blood. This character had blood coming out of his mouth, and his eyes were open and looking gorgeous. While this character,
I had to put that in.
while Kudashige like has a slash on his face and one of his eyes is open, but there's no light, which looks very similar to somebody else who dies in a certain other manga / anime.
I think Kagurabachi could have killed that villain. I'm calling the main guy Kagurabachi because that's his name.
Hey, Lois, I'm in Kagurabachi. Okay, so next up is chapter 3, which we get introduced to another main cast character, Hinao, who is a friend of Shiba and owner of a cafe, and that's where sorcerers or people who need jobs come to connect with sorcerers or each other or whatever. They came here to put out for any leads, because they put out a flyer or whatever asking people if they know anything about the Hishaku or a certain sorcerer or whatever. And then we get introduced to our other main cast character, Char. We'll just say Char. She is a young orphan. A
Funko Pop of a baby, basically a huge head, tiny body.
Yeah. I will say it bothers me because her legs are so skinny. I'm like, those are sticks.
It reminds me of the way Anya is portrayed in Spy Family.
Oh yeah. You know,
I'm a huge fan of Char. I love the design. Like, they actually drew her like a kid, instead of like they do in other stuff. And also, just her mannerisms are very, very fun. I'm a big fan of Char.
She's very funny.
And the way she interacts with Chihiro, and Chihiro interacts with her.
She is a baby. There is a scene in here where she's talking to them, and they're trying to get the lead from her because she came here because she wanted to hire a sorcerer or somebody to protect her. But then as she's talking to them, her stomach growls, and then she says, "And there it is." and Chihiro's like, "And there what is?" Because she's hungry.
And Wenzel does the same thing.
Yeah, actually kind of, yeah.
Yeah, I've seen it in action.
So then Chihiro takes her out to eat. They're eating in a restaurant, and they're trying to they're talking about like he's trying to get information about who she is, and whether or not her information is if she's telling the truth or if she's just kind of pulling their legs. And you know, he's being nice. He's like, "Look, you're an orphan. I'm going to take you to an orphanage after this. You know, you need to be somewhere safe." Sorry. I'm looking really quick because she does. Okay, sorry. What were you gonna say?
I was gonna say she does like explain the reason that Chihiro and Shiba take an interest in her is because she said the guys that were chasing her have a sword that spit like a cloud out at her.
Yeah,
and they recognize, they're like, "Oh, that sounds a lot like this one of the enchanted swords," because we don't actually learn the name of it till chapter 4. But they say this sounds like this sword. They were like, "There's no way this child could just be lying about this, because that's way too specific to be lying about."
Yeah, that's what I was trying to look for. Cause literally in the next page they're talking, and she says the guy had a really strong sword, and he's like, "Okay, what was this really strong sword?" And then she said a cloud came out of it, and he was like, "Oh shit, this can't be a coincidence. It has to be." But then immediately they get attacked by a sorcerer that's hunting her, who manifests Daruma dolls that explode. And he says invincible.
Very awesome.
Yeah, it's very cool.
He's dripped out too. He's got those bell-bottom pants on going in here
with high heels.
Yeah.
It's pretty crazy. And what's cool too is that not only Kenny use the Darumas to like explode and shit, they manifest from his body. Again, body horror is pretty crazy in this. He can also like turn them into different things too. Like if he if he was able to turn the Daruma into like kind of like a rope to tie Char after he exploded the restaurant that they're in. It was pretty crazy. And then gosh. So then they get into a fight in the next chapter where we also get another one of Chihiro's abilities, which is that he can, let me find it real quick, sorry.
I was also going to say before Wenzel mentions that.
Sorry, go ahead.
One of the things with chapter 3 that I really liked, two things. One is the seemingly endless things that sorcery can actually do, like the amount of powers we've already seen. We've seen teleportation, we've seen this tree stuff. Now this guy can have Daruma dolls come from his body. And they mentioned at the very beginning of chapter 3 that being a sorcerer is very prevalent. There's actually too many. They proclaim that there's 1,000 sorcerers in Tokyo alone, and they're having to be like hired out to be like security detail for like political figures or like famous people, government officials, all sorts of stuff. Which I find extremely interesting, where it's not like this niche, like, oh, only these 12 people have this sorcery power. They're like, no, actually, there's a shit ton of them.
Yeah,
like there's 1,000 in this city alone. So that made me really excited to see like what sort of powers like we see later on, because and we'll talk about it in a couple of chapters here, but there's already several that we've seen that I really, really like. So
yeah, I'm very curious too about this power system, because this is something too that later that Shiba mentions, because I think Char said she wants to be a sorcerer.
Yeah.
And she was like, can I do that? And he was like, oh, you can, you just have to work really hard.
Yeah, he's like, anybody can do it. And it's like, oh, okay.
Yeah, so like you just gotta do it. But then we find out later too that this guy who actually I can tell you this opponent right here, his name is Narasaku Madoka. He is he's known as the Daruma sorcerer, but his Daruma is specific to him. It seems like. I again don't know too much about the thing, but now I should mention too what makes the enchanted blade so important. Not only is that because they ended a war, but because Kunishige was the only swordsmith who knew the technique of how to enchant blades with sorcery, which makes them even more important, because that also kind of brings a conflict of like, well, if somebody who doesn't know sorcery gets a hold of one, then they are able to challenge sorcerers. So that's something important there. But yeah, so again, we get a cool fight where they're fighting, and then we get to reveal the third power of Enten, which is Aka, which means that he can copy the moves of the sorcery he's fighting, and then basically hit them with it. So he gets tied up by the guy, and then he touches him with his blade and says invincible, or Aka, then invincible, and that's how we see that, which is really cool. He defeats him, of course, and then that's where we learn the name of the sword that he's that Char saw, which is Cloud Gouger, which is a sick fucking name.
Yeah, super cool name. Even in the romanticized like Japanese name, it's Kurigomo, which I also think sounds cool. But then it's like, oh, AKA Cloud Gouger. I'm like, God, that's also badass.
Like, dude, insane. Did you have any thoughts, Colt?
No, I mean, it's basically what you guys said. Cool. Awesome.
Hell yeah. All right. So then the next chapter, this is chapter 5. Chihiro is going out while Mr. Shiba is going to interrogate the Daruma sorcerer. But then as he's going out, there's this really funny panel where he was supposed to go alone, and he was supposed to have Hanao watch Char at the cafe, but then it when he's in the car, it cuts to Char immediately in the back seat with kind of like a grin. I don't know why my first thought was, did I do that?
Wow. Yeah. What to guess what was about to come out of your mouth there.
And you just completely skipped over Char's special move. Whenever she gets excited, she has a new hoodie now. And her thing is swirling the sleeves like windmills because the hoodie's way too big for her. And she just does it every time she's excited. And you can even see it in the back seat of the car. I didn't notice it till now, but she's back there doing little windmills.
God, that's awesome. Yep.
Which is also what Colt does.
Colt does that too.
Yeah.
They do this though because Hanao really can't protect her at the cafe. It'd be better for her to go with Chihiro because Chihiro can protect her. Also, too, they need to get food for Char. Oh gosh, I also skipped over this too, and I'm sorry. The Daruma sorcerer, whenever they were fighting, he tried to coax Char into coming with him because like we said, she's an orphan, so he was using some stuff against her, like your mother died, this is your fault, now you're gonna get this kid killed and gonna hurt a bunch of people. Also too, it was weird because when the Daruma sorcerer was yelling, his eyes go like he gets cross-eyed.
Going crazy.
Like we all do.
Yeah. And that also resolved Chihiro into wanting to take him down as well. But anyway, back to this chapter. Mr. Shiba is interrogating him. It's really crazy too, because while Shiba's pretty strong with his teleportation, we also see that he's also just strong because he crushes both of the dude's feet. It's pretty crazy. And not like no, it's like there's like blood and his foot's crushed. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So they get Char ends up getting 3 different meals. She gets a sandwich, but then she needs a meal must conclude with a proper finale, which was ice cream. And then to wash down the finale, she needed to get a I guess milkshake.
Yeah, it was either a milkshake or like maybe like a blended coffee beverage sort of deal because there was whipped cream and stuff on top of it. I don't know, but it was.
You gotta have something to wash it all down.
I agreed. I'm reading that. I'm going. I'm this child.
I thought the same.
Because I'm like, everybody obviously has 2 stomachs. You have regular stomach and dessert stomach, but after dessert, sometimes you need just a little quick wash down. Like, what's good after a bowl of ice cream? A nice hot cup of coffee. Like that's my go-to. I love that shit. So I'm like, okay, yeah.
I really enjoyed the first page of her after she eats the sandwich. She just yells, "Truly sublime."
Yeah, it's very good. Like usually, especially in anime, like I feel like, and it's gotten better, but sometimes like the little kid characters can be very grating or annoying. And again, I do draw comparisons to Spy Family just because that's like the closest comparison. Like Anya's
the best child character
ever. Yes, I completely agree. But I do see a lot of similarities in Anya and Char, so I'm very excited to see Char like develop into a bigger character or like a more complicated character because I'm excited. I'm interested to see if they can keep that up of her being interesting or she is just like kind of a one note like character. But so far, like thus far, I'm like I see a lot of similarities between her and Anya, and it makes me excited. I'm like, thank God this isn't just like an annoying child.
Yeah,
too much of that in real life.
True.
Then we get revealed the person who has Cloud Gouger, which is Genichi Sojo, who is a big weapons dealer in the criminal underground. So there's that, and then while they're trying to drive back, they are ambushed by somebody who can make basically like these kind of clone sorcery, and Mr. Shiba. This is Mr. Shiba's car, by the way. Chihiro gets his car destroyed, which if I was Mr. Shiba, I'd be like, nah, fuck this. I'm done.
Which is, this scene in particular is weird because it has cars from like the 40s, 80s, and the 60s.
There is a car, actually. I didn't notice this. There's a car from the 20s and the 2030s.
Yeah. It's strange.
Yeah, it's very strange.
Also, there's traffic lights.
That's also true.
That is like not old traffic lights, but more
like modernized traffic lights.
Modernized, yeah.
Which is why I would have never even have guessed that it was in an all 1950s period.
Yeah, so again, we'll probably find out more as the story progresses. I mean, if not, I'm not heartbroken. It doesn't really matter too much. It's just interesting. Again, too, we get body horror because this guy is making clones, and like the way they come out, they're like, it's like a singular body that's morphing out of the road. It looks like.
Yeah, he's a rat king that is making clones out of dirt. It's fucking awesome. It looks so cool.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. And then that's where the chapter ends. Chapter 6, like I said, they get ambushed. Loses the car, has to get out. He tries fighting these guys. It's also revealed that the reason why they even found them was because Sojo had just put out a hit, or not a hit, but like a bounty on capturing Char.
Unlimited bounty.
Yeah, he'll pay any. He'll pay any price for the sword and the kid. So then Chihiro tries to fight these clones, but they're not actual people. They're just these dirt clones. So they just keep coming. They're relentless. While in the kind of chaos of them swarming him, there is another sorcerer that's there that is able to tap into Chihiro's mind and is able to kind of like manipulate his emotions and kind of stop him from fighting.
Kind of a broken ability, because he can also sense people just like and identify people just via their brain signals. Kind of a broken ability.
He looks like someone from, I want to say Jujutsu Kaisen. He looks very familiar with his design. A shithead design is what I'd call it.
No, he's a piece of shit. Because we get revealed why Char is very important, and that is that they grab her, and it's revealed that she's a Kyoanagi, and there's this rumor that if you eat the flesh of anyone from the Kyoanagi clan, it makes you immortal, but it's just a rumor, or as this guy says, it's pure nonsense. But there is some truth to the clan and them having special abilities, and that is that they can regenerate, and they do this by breaking Char's leg. It's pretty brutal. And it's so, and the pain is so bad because she's just a little child. She throws up all of her food. It's really sad. And that's why Sojo wants her. So yeah, they go to take her, and then and it's so crazy too, because again, we have this because he manipulates Chihiro's mind to see memories of his father, and to throw him off, to incapacitate him, and
to use his trauma against him. That's his main thing. Is he uses the trauma of the people he taps into to sedate them, basically.
Yeah, and then God.
And since he used Chihiro's trauma, he didn't realize that Chihiro's trauma is also what drives him, is exactly what he says before he fucking beheads his ass.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to lead into. It was just, we get this really cool scene where like he says, like they try to execute him there, but Chihiro is like, you showed me this shit. It only makes my goal more clear. Like it doesn't make him any more sad. It doesn't make him like, it just reminds him that it literally does nothing to him besides, like, for a brief moment, like tires him out. Like it literally changes nothing. He knows exactly what he's going to do, and it just makes him even more mad. And like Colt said, he just cuts his head off, which is a really cool scene. And then we get this other really cool scene where the clone guy is trying to run away, and he just slashes through all the clones, and he tries to challenge Chihiro by like, come on, bring it on, and he's holding her, and then it's just this crazy, just like 2-page panel where the guy doesn't even finish the sentence. It's literally just he slices him up as he's holding Char. Completely just eviscerating the dude, and Char just doesn't have a scratch.
It's so good.
It's so good. And then
Man, and again, it's stuff like that like I know I've already said it several times, but like just the action in it feels like it has weight. It doesn't feel like, and maybe the brutality is like partially to thank there, but like it doesn't. It's so hard to explain. Like there's a lot of manga where the action to me just feels sort of weightless, and like there's no sense of the like power behind it, I guess is what I'm trying to say. But here, and I also feel like that's typically a problem in manga that have a lot of swords, because it's just that's a difficult thing to do, and I think that's why a lot of mangaka try to spice it up, like in Demon Slayer, you know, with the breathing forms, even though they're technically not visible to those in the Demon Slayer world, which still irks my nerves. Or you know, the stuff in Bleach, but like here, like it mostly is like one guy with a sword so far that we've seen, and like it feels just as weighty, if not weightier, than these people that are throwing like literal bombs. Like I really appreciate that.
Yeah, it really shows the power of the swords, and then also too, we just don't know exactly like there is sorcery in the swords. We don't know exactly like if the swords give a physical boost, or if it's on the person themselves to be a good swordsman from the get-go. We don't know, but it shows that. And then I was gonna say this too, but I forgot what I was trying to say. Gosh. Colt, do you have anything to say?
No, I thought it was a great chapter. I really enjoyed the bit at the end where, since she threw up, he didn't eat any of the food because he wasn't hungry. He just had a pocket with a smashed sandwich, so he gave it to her.
Pocket sandwich.
The best sandwich in a situation where you have your leg brutally broken, and you threw up all your food.
Happens a lot.
But she also healed it, so
it also healed. Yes. Wow, I completely forgot what I was going to say.
I also will mention too, like
sorry, I really don't want to forget what I just remember what I was going to say. The weightiness, like you were saying, of like we get these cool characters that are like these villains that are introduced, like this clone guy, this guy that can manipulate the mind or whatever. And like for the most part, they get their moment in here where we get to see their powers, but it's never like, oh, you guys, you got to turn a new leaf or whatever, or I'm so angry at you. Like it's like, oh, grr. Like no, like these guys torture, hunt, and kill people, and it's just like they're gone. See ya, bye.
Yeah,
that's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, no, I like that too, especially here. Like you see, like it's not like, I don't know. I feel like it's a very popular shonen trope again, where they're like, but so and so, you can turn a new leaf, and you can help us. And maybe they'll do that with somebody. But
yeah,
at least here, we see like the clone guy and the brain signal guy. Like, no, they're literally trying to kidnap this child so they can sell her because of this power she has. Like they're not good people, and they're not people worth redeeming. So the best thing we can do is just behead them with our very powerful dad sword.
And we say shonen trope. I just keep thinking of My Hero when I say this, and I know this is probably something in other stuff too, like Naruto. But like I think of My Hero because there's literally it's so crazy, and I don't like how this was handled. If anybody knows, Overhaul is still alive, right, in the My Hero manga, and he was imprisoned, but then he gets out of prison, and Deku's like, you have to learn to apologize to Eri, and you got to go deal with, you know, your father figure, which we do get a resolution on that, but we never see him apologize to Eri because he was trying to experiment, harvest, and enslave a child.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry, maybe the dude needs to have his brains bashed in.
Yeah, I mean, that's Naruto.
Yeah, I mean, that happens a lot in Naruto. I mean, Dragon Ball Z, the Dragon Ball series to me is the most egregious.
Yeah, Frieza's a friend, and Piccolo happened.
Piccolo, Vegeta, Majin Buu, the androids, Beerus, Broly. Yeah. I mean, it happens with like every main bad guy from every fucking arc.
Well, no, I will give Beerus credit. He does have a job to do. He's a god of destruction, so he has certain things to abide by. You will not touch my purple cat boy.
But still.
Yeah, I know. No, you're right. I was just making sure that like I wasn't like misinterpreted or like my only, for some reason in my mind, the only one I can think of is My Hero. I was just making sure that there's more than just that with, like, we say shonen trope. Like, I just want to make sure that I was correct in thinking that, you know, there's more outside of that. Yeah.
My Hero is definitely the most recent example that I can think of.
Yeah.
And of course, too, you can have those moments for those stories with that character development or whatever. Kagurabachi isn't that. It's its own thing. That's what I love, is that he, like, the mangaka Hokuzono, I couldn't remember his name. He is not like, no, we're like, he is doing his own thing, and his own thing is that like we have to like grounded in the sense of that these characters are aware, it's real. It's just like there are some things that are just, you know, they're not good, and like how do we deal with them? Like it's you know, it's it understands itself.
Yeah, absolutely.
But then going to the next chapter, of course the car's gone, so Chihiro has to carry Char on foot. As he's carrying her, he's ambushed by 3 sorcerers, of course, because they heard about the bounty. But then right before he can even draw his sword, a guy pops up and tells him, no, you should put that away. And it's and he takes on 2 of the sorcerers, defeating them pretty easily while also getting his hand crushed and not even caring. His name is Mr. Azami. Chihiro knows him. He works for the government. He is part of a special squad. And whenever one of the sorcerers sees that he has a pin from this part of this government pin or whatever, he is like, no, I'm not. I didn't know you guys were taking this on. I'm not going to take on the whole nation. And I think that was like a really cool kind of like indicator of like this is, if somebody from the government is getting involved, that kind of shows the power also to the nation the government has. And yeah, I just think that was a neat little thing there.
Yeah, like it's a national threat that these swords are missing.
and like the government, like in this universe anyway, isn't kidding around too. Like they have their own kind of like powerhouses, obviously.
Yeah.
And so yeah, he's part of the Kamunabi. It is a government-affiliated organization of sorcerers with a mission established during the Seitai War to eliminate all threats to the nation of Japan as a whole. Yeah.
I really enjoyed the bit of after the fight. He just says like, "Your hand, is your hand okay?" And he's like, "Nah." And then he's like, "What's wrong with my hand?" And he looks at it and he's going, "Yeah." Ouch! Like a real Tom and Jerry.
Tom and Jerry.
Some Looney Tunes ass screaming.
It's not even a bit. It literally says, "Ouch!"
I hope when this eventually gets an anime adaptation and it gets an English dub, they get like a Looney Tunes like esque, like, yeah, kind of like in One Piece. When the first time Luffy went Gear 5, they had like very cartoony sounds. I hope they do that. That would be a good touch for me personally. for a 1 second bit.
the classic Tom and Jerry scream where he's in pain. He's like, "Ah!" I can't really mimic it, but it's very, very violent. It's a very scary scream.
Yeah, that's what I need. I wish Discord would be able to capture it because it's just the
Okay,
I wish they would.
But though, if Kagurabachi anime does do like a very special scream sound when he realizes his like fingers are all crushed, I think it would be pretty memorable.
I'll give it goat status.
Because I haven't heard it yet, but I know there's like a sound in apparently Bocchi the Rock that's like pretty crazy, that like people are like, a human actually made this sound, and I just think it'd be crazy if they did the same thing for this. I think it would gain even more like meme status.
Well, that's one thing they did recently in One Piece, Wenzel, was the first time Luffy went Gear 5 and he's fighting Kaido. In the Japanese version, Kaido's eyes pop out of his head and he goes, "What?" But in the English dub, his eyes pop out of his head and he goes, "Nani?" And it's I always think shit like that's really funny.
Okay, that's great though. I've seen that clip too. I think somewhere they do like a somebody like did like a sound effect where it's like the when they do that, he's like, ah!
Yeah,
like,
it's very good.
Yeah. But yeah, so the next chapter is Mr. Azami escorts them back to the cafe. The government is able to take down the bounty. It's revealed that, of course, Mr. Shiba was in the Kamunami, but he quit. And then also too, Mr. Azami shares some intel with them that there's going to be the annual black market auction, the Raku Zaichi. And in that auction, they found out that one of the enchanted blade is going to be there, submitted by Sojo. It is the Shinuchi blade. It is the blade that we see that is especially more sealed and tied away. So yeah, that's pretty crazy. And then also too, it's also revealed that Mr. Azami kind of just wants to take the blade from the Etten from Chihiro, and also too, that's kind of their main mission, is to also recover the enchanted blades. But yeah, no, they just got to be careful because they're watching Chihiro, and if he's going around with the enchanted blade, that's very bad. And then also too, it shows that there is a on Mr. Azami's phone, he has a, I guess, background picture maybe or whatever. It shows Shiba and Chihiro's father in this, so they're all three of them knew each other and they're all friends, which is also why Azami knows Chihiro, because he's known him since he was a kid.
Yeah.
So
I mean, it's kind of like my phone background are you two.
What?
Yeah, you know.
Just like the good old days.
My phone background is you two. Wenzel giving you a little peck on the cheek.
Down.
Riley always asked me, she was like, why isn't my phone background me? And I was like, well, look at this picture of Wenzel giving Colt a kiss.
Yeah, while I'm holding my famous enchanted blade.
No, we had that discussion at the beginning of the episode. You obviously don't respect the blade.
You would never.
Yeah, sorry, too far, I guess.
Just wait till Colt throws hammers at you. See how important you find a sword then.
But yeah, it just ends with them talking about how they have to be ready for when the black market auction. Wow, that sounds really bad. I'm gonna cut that. Black auction.
Oh, I didn't even catch it.
I didn't catch it either.
I caught it because I'm the one that said it. Black market auction. God damn. All right.
And cut.
So the next chapter is them like trying to figure out plans, and then Chihiro has to sit in the cafe with Char. It's revealed that the Daruma sorcerer was told by Shiba to stop being, the Daruma sorcerer, because his family was pretty upset because they were like, they call them the bomb monster family because of him. Because I mean, dude's making bombs and killing people.
Yeah, I mean, his mom called him a terrorist.
Yeah, his mom called him a terrorist. So,
he also went from a flat top to what looks like a Kappa hairstyle.
Yeah, he does have a Kappa hairstyle.
Low taper fade.
So he calls his sister. He wants to see about reconnecting with them, getting a real restarting his life, and just kind of apologize to them and apologize to his mom. So he wants to meet up with her, and they'll go together to go talk to her. But then as soon as he gets in the car, we see his sister has been stabbed, and then Sojo is in the back of the car, and he stabs him as well, because he's trying to basically tie up loose ends.
Yep.
We get another crazy body horror where the sorcerer is like, well, if I'm going down, you're going down with me, and his neck kind of like opens up with Darumas. But then of course Shoujo has a cloud gouger, and we see that one of its abilities is that it can freeze people, so it freezes him before he can blow up, and then he reveals that he didn't kill his sister, he just incapacitated her, and then he unfreezes the sorcerer right as he was about to explode, and he explodes the car, killing himself and his sister without even realizing that his sister is okay.
Yeah, it's pretty brutal.
It's really brutal. And then we find out too that the mind manipulation sorcerer also has a brother who wants Sojo to kill Chihiro. He gave him kind of an info and told him where he was, but then Sojo is like, well, I have to get my blood pumping, so I'm gonna have to kill you, and just goes ahead and kills him.
Yep.
So that's the end of that storyline too.
Yeah, this part definitely gave me Chainsaw Man vibes of like, oh, here's this carrot. Oh, they're dead.
Yeah, it's crazy too, because the guy tries to stop Sojo, and we see this really crazy dream scene where Sojo is walking through a field with a bunch of bodies hanging from the sky with blood dripping.
Yeah.
And Sojo is like, whoa. And then he just kills him. And it's crazy too, because the guy's body is just lying in the alley with blood sprayed on the wall, and his head sitting on top of a like an air conditioner or something. And yeah, and then he goes to the cafe to attack Chihiro, but Chihiro is able to immediately intercept him at the door, and basically the chapter just ends with them about to start their fight.
Yeah, which, like, talk about a fucking cliffhanger for your first volume. Like, we're about to see a clash of two enchanted swords, like, at the same time. Like, I mean, if I had just randomly picked this off a shelf somewhere and read the first volume, I would have immediately been hooked.
Oh, yeah. And
yeah, perfectly laid out.
Literally the next chapter is called Cloud. Oh, my fucking mic. Either Cloud Gouger versus Enten, or Enten versus Cloud Gouger.
The next chapter is great. I've only reread that chapter. It's a really good one.
Enten versus Cloud Gouger. Sorry. Oh yeah, dude. It's crazy. It's awesome.
What the? Hold on. What the fuck was that sound?
What?
It came across like 10 seconds ago.
I heard it too.
It sounded like somebody fucking farted.
Yeah, I did.
I knew it. I knew it.
I've been farting this whole time, and none of them have been picking up. So
well, that one picked up loud and fucking clear.
Loud.
Good Lord! I didn't realize it was 2017 again on the show today. Good God!
Can you take this podcast serious, Colt?
No.
Good Lord!
I'm about to Kagurabachi your ass. Aka. I make you fart again.
I was going to say, that means you fart.
Wenzel shits his pants.
Oh God. Yeah, so that's basically just the first volume. There is a bonus chapter in there, but if you pick up the volume, I'll let you guys read that.
Yeah. I am excited to. I will be collecting this physically I'm probably gonna wait a little bit for more volumes to drop because that's the way I roll.
Well, the next volume 2, doesn't drop till February.
Yeah,
but so
that's about right. Every 3 months.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. But it's just crazy too because by the time if they do it by the 3-month schedule, then that means at some point they're just gonna have to stop because they would have caught up.
Yeah,
which is funny.
Yeah, that probably will happen at some point.
Yeah, I'm definitely catching or collecting these physical just because I really, like we said, love the art and these covers. God, it's just so solid. I don't know how to describe it. It's like, yeah.
Yeah, I think with this first volume, like I'm around like the very high, like 7.75, 8 range. Like it for a first volume, that's great. Like for reference, like first volume of One Piece would be around there. First volume of Bleach would honestly probably be lower than that, as well as Naruto. Like just comparing it to a bunch of shonen heavy hitters, like it is up there. Like I really want to just like binge all of it, but I also don't want to binge it and become a weekly reader with this. Just because I don't know, like I feel like I'm going to treat myself and read like volumes 2 and 3 and then wait like 3 or 4 months and then read 4 and 5 and then wait a couple more months and then by that time 6 and 7 will be out. Like just because I don't want to, I don't know, for some reason I don't have the urge to be weekly with it, but this seems like with how fast paced of a manga this is, it feels perfectly bingeable. Like I read this entire volume in one sitting, which I mean isn't, nothing to brag about or anything, but like it's over 200 pages and like typically I just don't do that. So I mean it immersed me and it got me hooked pretty immediately.
Hell yeah. Yeah, same. I, like we said all throughout, I love the action, the art. It's brutal, it's dark. I'm very interested in this world. Rating wise, I would give it, like, for this first volume, I'd give it an 8.5. I really like it.
I give it an 8. It's some good shit, and it only makes me want to see more. And since I know the contents of the second volume, it's good.
Yep. Yeah. I'm pretty pumped for that when that comes out. Like, I mean, I can reread it right now, but I probably will reread it. But any final thoughts?
I'm excited to read more. I would love to do. I mean, I know we did this first volume episode as like it's coming out. Like here's the first volume. I would love to do more of these and talk about it. Like do like a book club sort of thing with Kagurabachi, just because I think it's so much. It's such an easy and light read and so much fun to talk about. Like I don't know. I enjoyed this more than I thought. Like I'll be honest. Like some of the meme stuff like kind of got to me, and I was like, okay, it's probably fine. Like I wasn't expecting anything like mind blowing or anything, but like it got me. It sunk its hooks in me. Chapter 1, and like I want to continue to read more. The only reason I haven't read more yet is because I didn't want to like convolute my thoughts and bring up something that happened in like chapter 30 in this first volume review. But yeah, I definitely plan on reading more.
Yeah, that was the same thing. I didn't want to say stuff because, as I kind of was itching to earlier, there's just stuff that happens later that's just like, fuck.
Yeah.
Because it feeds in to what we're saying. You just got to read it. Yeah, no. Also, too, manga book club. I'd actually love to do that.
I've kind of been suggesting it for years, but
yeah, Colt has brought it up before.
We've already been doing it. I just never thought of, maybe we should call it that, manga book club.
Hey, maybe this is a discussion to be had.
Any final thoughts, Colt?
I could have used more gassy orangutans' big belly farts.
Wow, that sounds like a fetish, Colt. That sounds like a fetish.
It is. This time it is a fetish. I jerk off to monkeys with big bellies.
Jesus Christ.
I'm not
a joke.
I'm not.
You don't have to.
No, in fact, no. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna edit it specifically to where you don't say it's a joke. You don't say it's a bit. Nobody says that. You just say I jerk off to monkeys with that fart.
And Wenzel's gonna put it right in the middle of the podcast.
I can do that.
Wenzel's talking about chapter 4, and all of a sudden Colt says that,
and just move on.
It just moves on.
That would be pretty fucking funny.
Oh my god. Okay. Fuck, I'll have to tell you after.
Oh, he's gonna tell me about his other fart fetish.
Jesus Christ, shut the fuck up, you fucking weirdo. God. No, one of the TikToks I recorded involved an editing bit that I think is really good.
Dude, I also the other day had like a really country moment where like my just I don't know, my accent like really popped off, and I was like, oh my god, what was that?
Hell yeah.
Where it was something very similar to that, where I was like, Gert? Like I sounded like Goofy.
God damn. Yeah, we know Goofy is a country star. So,
I mean, Goofy is canonically from the American South.
But thank you for listening to us talk about Kagurabachi. Really appreciate it. You can find us where all you can hear podcasts. I don't know if you knew that. You can find us on SoundCloud, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Overcast, YouTube, wherever you listen, we're there. You can follow us on Bluesky at AYCHpodcast.bsky.social. You can still follow us on Twitter at AYCH Podcast, but we are again making I say again, sorry, that announcement won't come out till tomorrow. We are
I mean, you can mention it here, it's fine.
Yeah. We are making a kind of pushing more towards Bluesky now, and being more active on there than Twitter. So yeah, you can go check out all the other accounts like Backlog BoyZ, all the other accounts under us, on Twitter. Please go check them out. Go check out our TikTok at AYCH Podcast, where I've been doing some videos there. Tanner has too. Just doing a bunch of different stuff. Really enjoy it. I think it's fun. So go check it out. You can follow us on Instagram at AYCH Podcast. Follow us on twitch.tv/AllYouCanHear, where we are starting to get back into streaming. Yeah. So just keep your eyes open for that and on our socials when we do announce streams. Our VODs from our past streams are on our YouTube at AllYouCanHear, including the instruction booklets. Go check those out. Like recently, Black Ops 6, me and Tanner played that together. That's on there. Tanner played Still Wakes the Deep. That's on there. So go check those out, including all of our episodes. Again, other podcasts are on there. And then lastly, you can follow me on Twitter at Wenzel. You can follow my art Instagram threads and Bluesky. It's World of Wenzel. Follow my bookstagram, Wenzel Banters, and my Linktree has links for everything.
My name Colt. Follow me on Twitter at ColtD00 or Bluesky ColtD99. Hey, a public announcement. I'm removing what I said from last week's end bit. Do not put ice inside of industrial fryers. I endorsed it last time, and I'm revoking that.
Is that something you said last week?
I don't remember.
Oh,
okay.
I was like, I don't remember. No, granted, last week's podcast was so fucking long. You could have fooled me. I'm Tanner. You can follow me on Bluesky at Tanner1495.bsky.social. I'm a bit active on there, so come check me out there. You can follow me on Letterboxd, Tanner1495. Wenzel mentioned the twitch.tv/AllYouCanHear. I will be live if you're listening to this day of release. I will be live Tuesday the 12th as well as Thursday the 14th. With what? You're just gonna have to wait and stay tuned to our socials to see, because maybe I don't even know yet. But I will be live twice this week to make up for not going live last week. And also just because I have a little time. So yeah.
Also, to go follow us on our Bluesky if you haven't already. We are trying to get to 50 followers so that Tanner can play Elden Ring.
Yes. Just real quick, and it will be in. Also should mention, we have an update coming out tomorrow on the feed. You can listen to it there. But AYCHpodcast.bsky.social if we get to 50 followers by the end of November, I will be doing a 6-hour Elden Ring live stream. I've never played Elden Ring, and for each follower we get over 50, I will add an additional 5 minutes to that timer. So yeah, go follow us on Bluesky.
Yep. All right. Well, I'm Kagurabachi out of here.
Whoa, hey, and I'm gonna Shihiro you later.
Sword.